Hello, Orland Park. I'm Dan McMillan here for 147 South Orland Park TV. We want to thank you for joining us today. We have a show today. Folks, we've done a lot of shows the last few years, but none as special as this show. Something that's near and dear to my heart in general, football. But we have three of the absolute finest coaches in the history of high school football in the nation, not just in the state of Illinois. We have these guys are Hall of Fame caliber, Hall of Fame coaches, state champions. They mold the minds of the youth of America, and because of these three, our high school football and our young men in the area are that much better. So we want to introduce them and get the ball rolling so we can talk football, talk about the upcoming Catholic League season, the IHS season, because these three plan on being there during that weekend of Thanksgiving. They plan on being down at U of I. So we're going to introduce them one by one. They're going to introduce themselves, tell us which school they're from, and all the great. Well, you don't tell me the great work you've done. I'll bring that out of you a little later. But we're number one from Providence.
Mark Coglianese, head football coach, also head track coach at Providence, and I teach biology.
Teach biology. Is that the most interesting part of the day?
It is. It is. When we get outside, then it gets a little bit stressful.
Yes. Then the real biology starts.
That's right.
Okay, Coach?
Todd, Kuska, St. Rita High School, graduate 1990 from St. Rita. I'm also biology, chemistry, human anatomy teacher there. Been there this will be going on my 20th year.
Man, so you're a legacy at St. Rita as well.
I've been there a while.
And high school football in general. Coach Kuska. Brother Rice.
Brian Badke, 1992 graduate of Brother Rice High School. I'm going into my fourth season here as a head football coach. I also work in the development office and our recruiting office as well.
So you guys are all coaching against each other. All three of you're going to all play each other this year. When I look at this year's schedule, and I've looked at each of your schedules, and you're some of your, I don't know if you circle each other's games on the schedule, or if you've got so many great games. But let's talk a little bit about where you guys see where high school football has come since you played, and now you're coaching. Coach Coggs, where do you see you played? You're 1980. You graduated from Brother Rice in 1981, so you're the senior member here. So football, high school football in '81. Fast forward to now.
Well, I think the Catholic League has always been, kind of a powerhouse with great tradition. But now, I don't know. Now that I'm coaching, I think we've all kind of took it to another level.
Yeah.
Every game that we play against each other, it's a challenge. I don't care what year it is. I don't care if it's Rice, Rita, Carmel, Loyola. It's going to be a tough game. And I just think all of us have kind of raised the bar over the last, 5, 10, 15 years that our caliber of football is, tops, throughout the state, no doubt.
Yeah, tops. It's probably you probably have more feared teams in this Catholic league than you probably do in any league throughout the state. And you guys, of course, you get beat up, but really it prepares you. So when you get there to the state playoffs, you've seen the best. You've seen the best. So Coach Kuska, you played at St. Rita in 1990? 88 and 89. Compared those teams to the teams that you've been coaching and that you won a state title. What year did you win a state title?
2006.
So in 2006, you led the Mustangs.
Mustangs.
I just want to make sure I get that right.
Yep.
So the St. Rita Mustangs to the state title. What was the difference between the undefeated teams you were on in 1989, 88, and 89 versus where you're at now?
Well, I think football in general, like Coach Coggs said, the level of talent is really, kids are playing football all over. I don't care what anybody says. Football is still a huge sport. They're coming to us more prepared, I think, than a lot of times kids back when I played. It's like I did not play football in grammar school.
No,
but now kids are coming in prepared, and the exposure that football gets now. I mean, high school football. I mean, I know when I played, there weren't TV games. There weren't, we had like one game a week. We were fortunate to be on once, like in my entire career there. Now, all of our games are on TV, and the exposure. And you said it before, do we circle each other's games? In our conference, you can't circle a game, because they're all big games.
Yeah.
Every game is going to be, a brutally fought football game, and where we hope to get out healthy and survive to play into the next game.
It's like every game is a playoff, and so by the time you get to the playoffs, you're battle tested.
Yeah, we've hopefully seen the best, and as long as we're healthy enough, we can move on forward and keep going. That's what's great about playing in the Catholic League.
Yes. Coach Brian Badke, you're the newest. You're the coach. You've been there 4 years at Brother Rice. When you got there to the program, what challenges did you see in terms of taking over a program? It's got a long storied history that's had state champions, but you had to pick up the program, and you're bringing it where it should be. What challenges did you have that you're meeting now?
Talking, kind of, and Todd and Mark, touching upon how tough the conference is. Since I've been there, there's been either a state runner-up or state champion every year. So I was at the college level. We won a national championship over at St. Xavier in 2011, and I was fortunate to go back to my alma mater. And I knew what I was signing up for, because you've got great coaches, great tradition, and it's obviously a challenge every week. And when we talk about that, it's definitely going to prepare us for the playoffs. We just hope that we're not limping into the playoffs. And there's some pretty darn good teams that haven't even made to the playoffs from our conference sometimes. So I know Coach Goggs and even Todd, you over the last couple years, you go 5-4, and they went on a run and went to the semifinals a couple times. So you're definitely going to be prepared. As far as we're at our program, this is going in my 4th year, and we were co-champs with the state championship team, Providence, last year in the Catholic League, and that was the first time Rice has won been a part of the Catholic League championship in 10 years, and we want to stay there. Now we want to make our run.
So the challenge is there. Explain a little bit about, because when we say the Catholic League and then we have different colors.
Sure.
What's the breakdown if you've got so we've got the Catholic League. Is it a blue? What is it? Are you guys all?
Todd's man on that.
Okay, Todd, Coach, give us a breakdown of what the Catholic League is.
Well, you basically have the Catholic Blue, which is all three of us: Providence, Rice, Rita, Carmel, and Loyola. After that, there's a couple different divisions: the green, there's the white, and there's the red. And I'll be honest, through years they change a lot. Last year was the first year they brought in some other schools that joined, likes of Montini, St. Francis out in Wheaton, Marmion Academy, Aurora Christian. So those guys, and I'll be honest, they've mixed up those conferences. I'm not sure exactly who's in them. I know we cross over, so we'll cross over with one team from each of those divisions throughout the season, but the 4 big games are.
The blue has always stayed the same.
So the blue's the same.
We try to change it a little bit, but
a little tired of beating up on each other. But
Dave, what we did, we had actually earlier this past year, we were trying to look at getting the conferences, try to balance them a little bit, because they're a little top heavy in the blue. And when Todd and I were playing, and obviously same with Cogs, you had a north and a south, and you wouldn't maybe sometimes have that rivalry game or whatever, but we were trying to break it up and try to go back to that, have a north and south, and we got kind of shut down.
That was met with not as much happy votes from us. From other guys.
The other schools didn't want to jump into the blue or play us.
So the
new realignment, they just made a new realignment
around you.
That was the 5 blues. There's another 5-team division, and then there's 2 14 divisions, because there's 18 schools in the Catholic League now, divided up into 4 divisions.
So is there somebody that you like? Were you always? Marist was always a big rival. I thought of Brother Rice. Will you play them?
Unfortunately, no. They're not in the Catholic League, and we're going to get them back on the schedule. We're determined, Pat and I, to do that. But unfortunately, we're not playing them this year. But they're not in the Catholic League. They're in the East Suburban.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So they're not there. I see a schedule. Somebody that's popped up on your schedule. I don't know if you've been playing them every year, but they seem to keep going back to the state playoffs. As Montini is now coming to the league.
Right.
You're playing them. It looks
Yeah.
like 9/11.
Right, that's our crossover game.
Yeah. So how does, and you got to follow, and then you follow them up with Mount Carmel.
Yeah.
Then you play Providence.
Yes.
And then you.
You don't need to remind me, Dan.
Yeah. So you've got a murderer's row there.
And they're all on the road, too.
Yes, they are. At Montini, you go to Gately. Tell me a little bit about Gately, because I've been to games there. I've heard the stories about, is the field as bad as they talk about?
I like the field. I played in it, we all played on it probably back in high school, and I think it was still the same until they redid it just the last 5 years or so.
So they've got
But I think it's a nice field. I think it's a huge stadium.
Yeah. It's
improved a lot.
It has improved a lot.
They used to take the AstroTurf from Soldier Field
just
and then they recycle them.
Yeah, because I heard about
It was cement, really.
Yeah, there were some tough things that happen out there because of
Right.
that. So Gately's okay now. What if you're playing between the five of you? If there's a game for each of you on the schedule this year, other than that, what's a game that you think could be the highlight? And I know you don't say you circle one, but do you have a game in mind as you look at your schedule, Coach Coggs, and you've got yours with Joliet Catholic because you're right out there.
That's probably the one we'd circle because it's week 1.
Yes.
We need to get off to a good start. We need to win because we know what's coming down the road. And if we don't win, that first game or first 2 games, it could be a long season. So
Yeah.
I don't even think about the blue until after week 2. And then it's Mount Carmel, but we got to get those first 2 wins.
I mean, is you guys are so, you're great coaches, and I'm just curious as to how you approach the whole season. But you know how we all say we have to play the game. You can't tell your place. We play it a game at a time. You don't want to look past it. But how are you thinking about? You have to be thinking about. You've got Providence coming up on 9/25, but on 9/11 you're playing Montini. How are you thinking it all about Providence, or you're focusing on Montini at that point?
No, I think we've got to focus the next game. Whatever's the next game, we always know what it is, and we know each other. We know the teams very well.
Yeah.
So we know what it's going to be like. So we just got to take care of the problem at hand, whichever, as Coach Coggs said, is for our first game is Malvern Prep from Pennsylvania. That's the only thing on our mind right now.
Yeah.
And after that, it's week 2 and
Yeah.
week 3, and you really can't afford in our conference because
No,
if you slip up out of the conference, the conference, then your back's really against the wall. So you really can't look past anything.
And you know what your final game of the year is?
Well, yeah, we play these guys.
There you go. So we're all counting on it. We'll be there Friday, October 23rd. It's at Rita, so at least you've got that at home.
Yeah.
So that's always a good one. But as you approach the season, you come into it. It's become a little more of a. I remember when I played in high school, it was unorganized during the summer. You're a lot more organized. How organized? When do you really start playing football, and how does it lead into the camps? So, Coach Badke.
Well, you do have 25 dates that you have over the summer to utilize for, conditioning, lifting, and practice. And we all try to balance it, I'm sure, and it's very difficult because you have kids, and we wanted kids to play multiple sports.
Yeah.
But you also want to try to get prepared for, the grind of the season coming up in August. So, it's taken me a couple years to try to do the best that we could to balance it out with kids playing baseball. There's summer baseball going on, and guys are doing other things. So try to get it all kind of completed in June, give them the dates to work out in July, and hopefully get his best condition and healthy coming into August camp.
So you lead them up into it, and we talked a little bit about it beforehand. We were talking about how when we were all playing, we had 3-a-days, which it was grueling, and up until maybe about you were saying even
about 3 years ago.
Yeah,
about
and
3
so
years ago.
the IHSA has really regulated it now. Do you find that to be some advantages to that? So as long as you're all on the same plane, it's a level playing field at this point, Cogs?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, there's nobody, IHSA aren't at your practice, at least as far as we know, checking everything you do. But, for us, it hasn't changed what we do very much. we've kind of followed those rules. I think it's some of the schools that are going to be out in the hot sun 3-4 hours in a row and conditioning. We don't do that. I like to think we're a little bit smarter, and we're going to do what's best for the kids and best for the team. So, the new rules, we had to adjust a little bit, but it wasn't a major change for us.
Well, you guys have programs. And I even looked, there's some other schools, and like Lincoln Way East, he's been in the playoffs every year since that school opened in 2000. And it's not just luck. You just don't, okay, I've got a great player this year and there's something. What do you do I know you have to market. What do you, to be out there, to make your schools attractive to the young men? What do you do to keep your programs running at such a high level? You want to take that, Coach Kuska?
Yeah, well, I think we, coming from private schools, we have to market to everybody. We have to market for every single student, from number 1 student to number 600, 700, whatever student is. So I think we just have to put forth the strength of the school, the great traditions that we have, the great education, where you're going to have opportunities to move on to college and attend some of the finest universities in the world, really, coming through here. And and also you're going to get a chance to take part in some great athletic programs, some great extracurriculars. And if you want to be a part of something, it's not easy. I tell everybody all the time, coming to St. Rita, and I'm sure that this is not easy. There's a lot of choices out there, and we're going to demand the most of you, because we're going to demand you're going to pay tuition as well. And if we're going to pay $10,000, $11,000 a year, then you better demand the most out of us as well. So it's just about putting forth all of the extras that you're going to gain from coming to a private Catholic high school. I really believe there's a lot of positives there, and just marketing out there to every student, not just the athletes. Obviously, we have to go out and find every student. And it's just getting them to buy in and be a part of our great tradition. Over 100 years old for us, and 109, I believe. Just marketing that to everybody to come on board to join us here in the Catholic League.
You all have tremendous traditions. Providence goes back to the 1800s. I think I was looking at it, and then I think became Providence in 1918. I think it was when the
right. Originally, it was a all girls school at that point. Then they moved to New Lenox, and it was co-ed. But the last athletically, I don't know if we're up to 30 state champions, through all sports, and 10 state championships in football. So it's a great tradition, and kids come to Providence and Brother Rice and St. Rita because they want the best. They want to play against the best. They want to get the best exposure and the best education also.
Where do you find? There has to be certain places that you go. How do you find the players? How are you marketing to the players? How would you find, Coach, where your next great quarterback?
Well, I think it's very important. These guys were touching upon it. Really, marketing and talking and promoting your school academically, and what we try to do. We live. We're very fortunate. We're in a great neighborhood. We try to get all these kids in our area, and then we make it. That's your community school, and sure, we obviously try to expand, and we get kids from the southwest suburbs, and sometimes from the southeast side, or but we want to, Brother Rice might not be for everybody, but it's going to be a challenge, academically. Last year statistically we had. We had 215 seniors. We had 56 of them score over 30 or higher on the ACT. We talk to parents and we talk to families. That's pretty impressive. Sure, we're attracting good students. We're also developing them as well. Half of the kids in that class, they score over 26 on the ACT. So it was a great class for us. But those are things, we want to attract, great student athletes. We want something for everybody here at Brother Rice.
So let's talk about, you guys have had such great history. Each one of you talk about a couple of your players that made an impact on you. Whether he's the guy that's in the pro now, what player had an impact on you, had an impact on the program that is far-reaching, that you can still look back from 10 years ago and you remember him?
Wow, that's a tough one.
I know you just said Miles Boykin, who must have had a heck of an impact, and he's going to Notre Dame. So what are some of those types?
Speaking of Miles, was a typical as far as a great player, but I think what separated Miles is the kind of person he was off the field.
Yes.
Just, I don't know if you ever had a chance to meet him or talk to him.
Oh, yeah.
But very respectful, very polite, friends with everyone in the school and talks to everybody. He was just a pleasure to be around. We even had a situation just the other day that we had a sophomore football player that was thinking about not coming back, was maybe going to transfer to public school, and somehow Miles found out and got in touch with him and had a talk with him and kind of convinced them to stick around. So, those type kids are, kind of what we teach and what we preach, and it comes back as a positive.
Yeah, so that's got to be heartwarming when you've got former players that are out
Go
there,
out of their way,
still bleeding
Staying connected.
Celtic green.
Yeah, I mean, he was at Notre Dame obviously all summer, but he had a couple weekends off, and he's out, at our practices and keeping in touch with the guys.
Yeah. Coach, you got former players.
I think there's a lot of guys, and I don't want to leave anybody
No,
out.
I know it's tough to do.
I love the guys that come back and coach. I've got about 5 or 6 guys now that played for me that are back on staff, and it's great having those guys come back. And as Coach Cog was saying, sometimes people think that the high level players that that's all they do is football. All they do is football, and they do, but they do a lot of other things. And you're talking about Miles, and we had last night the Bruce Gaston was on the Packers playing against Darius Fleming's on the Patriots.
Yeah.
Last week we had Mike Kafka playing quarterback for the Vikings against Matt Conrad to the Steelers. Those guys are all high quality students and high quality individuals, as most guys that succeed in football. But even like Darius Fleming, you talked about Notre Dame, and it's funny, he's out in New England, and this year myself and my family took a trip out to Boston, and there we are 5 hours out of Boston, and I called him up and said, hey Darius, me and the family are coming out, maybe do lunch, dinner, whatever, and he called me right back 5 minutes later. He's like, yeah, we'll come on in, and lo and behold, I didn't know what they had practiced. It was the first day, it was the next day at 6 in the morning, and he's taking us out to dinner until 11 o'clock at night, driving in. That's the type of, they're not just great football players, great guys.
Yeah, and I think that's what's lost, and I think people need to know more about that when they're, with football, because so many times people forget about, or they just think that they look at the dangers, and I know some of the parents, that's so much of the talk about concussions, and you have to overcome some of that. But what you really have, and I give this story, and I talked about it the other day, I read it, with Barry Sanders, had, the great Barry Sanders. He had his 2 sons. He didn't know if he was going to let him play football, and he did. And they asked him in this interview on Sports Illustrated, why did you let your sons, eventually play football? He says his wife, they looked at it, and they weighed out all the risks. In the end, they saw the value of team sports being so much outweighing any risk involved, because the team sports makes them such better young men and better people than the risk. And it can have anything you do, you can get injured in. So it's what I love. I mean, even coaching at the youth level, and when we see, when we're coaching the kids, and I see them go up into high school and even into college, and they're almost always just great kids. Right. They're just great kids, and that's really what you got. And it's a credit to you, and it's a credit to the programs and the long-standing storied traditions that you have. Now, Brother Rice, you've been there 4 years.
I'm going in my 4th year, right?
But anyone making it, does it come to pass? Anybody that made a special impact on you?
As far as me, coaching at Brother Rice, and Cogs played for him. Tom Mitchell was a big influence on me. He was our high school coach, and just a phenomenal man. Just passed away a couple years ago, and he had a big influence on me, and that's actually why I'm back at Brother Rice.
Yeah.
And for what he taught us, sure, he was a great football coach, and but more importantly, he's a great man.
Yeah.
And he instilled values in us, and he demanded a lot, but he did a lot of great things for Brother Rice, and I'm trying to do the best that I can to continue that tradition.
And I think that's overlooked so often, is the impact that the high school football coaches have, and because you guys all maybe have players that don't have fathers, and you almost become the father figure. I'll tell you, because that's what happened to me when I never had a father, and so when I was playing football, Coach Tom Overhalser, he made such an impact on me that he was he would take me to get haircuts and things like that. I mean, back in Michigan. So last year when they honored him, back in Michigan, I had to go back to say, because I was a kid, and I don't know if any kid, if this happens to any of you as coaches, but I had to go. I never, he was the biggest influence I had as a father figure when I was a kid. I had to go back there and actually say thank you, and I had to do that because I had never done that. I didn't realize when you're 18, you didn't know that. So here I was, I'm a little over 18 now. So I went back there and I said thank you, and he said it meant a lot to him when I did that. So it's one of those things that you just have to do. So you guys see this all the time. So you talked about one of your role models. Who was a role model? Growing up as coaches go, not just the names like Vince Lombardi, but you would have some of your own coaches that made.
Well, I'd say my two varsity coaches, Coach Todd who's now superintendent out in Lockport District Schools, and Coach Jim Angston, who was my head freshman coach, and then was varsity defensive coordinator, and Coach Angston, who right now is battling ALS, and thinking about him every day.
Yeah.
But those two guys, Catholic League Hall of Famers. They showed you a way, and that's a big influence as Coach Mitch was for you. Coach Renette got me started in thinking about football, and I had coached at St. Xavier for a few years before Coach Renette and welcomed me back over to St. Rita, and I had the pleasure of coaching with those guys for 2 years before I was able to take over, and what a difference playing for coaches, coaching with them, and then taking over. It's just it's a neat way to see see what goes on. Is playing for guys and then coaching with them.
Yeah.
You get to know them a little bit better.
The other side.
Coach Renette, Coach Angston, huge influences on my coaching background.
And it's an amazing. So it's something that I think parents have to take into account when they're considering whether their children should play sports. Especially, we're talking about football specifically, and the value. Just think of what the values and the discipline that was instilled in you right from elementary and right into high school that it did it. Coach Cogs, who was your role model?
Well, like Brian said, Coach Tom Mitchell was my head coach at Brother Rice, so he was a great man. Before that, my dad. I was lucky enough to have a father when I was young. Spent a lot of time throwing me passes, and doing the things to make me a better player. I went to Brother Rice actually, my freshman year, probably on a little smaller side. I was one of the last kids to get equipment. They ran out of helmets, so I didn't get a helmet.
Well, I don't know if it affected you or not. It's hard to.
So my dad runs out and buys a helmet, spray paints it maroon, and so I'm ready to go. So he did a lot of things with me and for me. And then, getting to Providence, obviously, you got to talk about Matt Seffner, who, outstanding coach, instilled a lot of things in me. Yeah. I saw what it takes to have run a great program. And I, got to mention, Todd mentioned a little bit, our assistant coaches.
Yeah.
We're at the top, but boy, you need a good staff, and I'm very fortunate. I have outstanding assistant coaches.
Well, what impresses me when I researching for to be here today is how many you all have, and I remember looking at yours specifically. You got a lot of coaches, assistant coaches that played at Brother Rice, that graduated from Brother Rice, so they come back, and you've got that too. It's and I imagine there's a lot of Providence.
I have 9.
Yeah, so I think that's a testament. That probably speaks volumes and is a testament to what you guys do and what the program means to everybody.
Right.
I mean, that's what it does. So we've talked about history. We talked about football, some of the philosophies and what you do. Let's talk a little bit about this upcoming season, because all three of you expect to win a state title. That's why you're going into it this year. So let's each of you talk a little bit about your season, what you see as the start of the season, and where you see how you think your team is shaping up now that camp is starting. So, Coach Cogs?
Obviously the main goal is to be a state champion. After that, it's to win the Catholic League Blue. And if you can win the blue, you're in pretty good shape. You're going to be a pretty good team. So those are two big goals for us. And like I mentioned before, We've got to win week 1 and take it from there. But as far as our outlook, obviously, last year was just an outstanding season. Had some great talent, outstanding run, being on the drive, and it was just, everything just, fell into place. Couldn't have been any better. And we lost some key players, like obviously we all do every year.
Yeah.
But, we have a good nucleus coming back. We have Richie Warfield, everyone knows about Richie, running back coming back. So, we'll have to build around him. Justin Hunterford was our quarterback last year. He was the Lawless winner, which is the most valuable in the Catholic League.
Great kid, too.
So, outstanding kid. So he's going to be a tough loss. But other guys are going to have to pick up the slack, and, other guys will step up. And, I think, we'll compete. But every game is going to be so close, and it just comes down to, inches and seconds, and we'll see.
Yeah, and each season stands on its own, and you just don't know who's gonna blossom. Who's gonna blossom? But you guys, like I said before, you run programs. You're not you're coaching your teams, but you're running programs, because when your season's over, you have to really think about who's coming back next year, or who are we marketing to. Go. Now, one more question on that. Do you won a state title also? Do you see, when you're coming off a state title season, you feel any more pressure? Is there a target on you, or is it you just try to downplay it?
Right. Well, pressure, no. I mean, because there's always pressure. Playing in the Catholic League, there's pressure. We're on TV most of our games. So there's pressure because we want to win. Yeah. But and I'm sure there's a target on our back also. Anytime you're a state champ, teams are gonna recognize that and do a little bit extra to try and knock us off. But for us, maybe gives us a little confidence, knowing that hey, we did this last year. We know what it takes. So
Yeah. I mean, as a coach, there's always that balance between instilling confidence into the kids, but and then not the overconfidence. Oh, we won the state title last year. We're just gonna we know what we're doing here.
Yeah, and that, I guess, time will tell.
Yeah.
But, I like to think we have good senior leadership, and like I said, a good coaching staff. So, knock on wood, that won't be a problem.
You're gonna do it. Coach, how's it look for you this year?
I thought we had a great off-season as far as team building and teamwork, and some great senior leaders, and that led into a good summer camp, and we still got some holes to fill and some competition going on right now, but I like the makeup of the team and the way these guys are. Sometimes you do it long enough, you see teams that are really tight-knit, and some teams that are they got some groups, and I think there's a really tight-knit team. And then when those guys are together, that's when you put 11 guys out there, they're really playing for each other. Yeah. Whether you have big name players here or there or not, if 11 guys are playing together, good things are going to happen. Yeah. And we've got some tight things going on for different position races right now, and I'm a firm believer that competition, builds players up. Yeah. And breeds success. So the more competition we've got at different spots, the better each guy's getting every single day. And so I like where we're at right now. Obviously, we all probably have a long ways to go. Yeah. Thankfully, we've still got 2 weeks to go. Yeah. Our first game is in 2 weeks from tonight. So, but I like where we're going.
So you're preparing for you got a little different where you're starting with. You've got they're putting you on a national stage this year. With your first game. You're playing a team from Pennsylvania,
right,
and you're playing down at Soldier Field. How do you prepare for a team? It's one thing to prepare for local, and you're somewhat familiar with that coach or somewhat familiar with what they do. Right. How do you prepare for a team that you've never? I don't think you've played them before.
No.
How do you prepare for a national stage team?
Well, we played a few games out of state, back in Ohio years back. And we played Jeff City from Missouri and Whitehaven from Memphis, and now we have Melvin Prep. Melvin Prep, the only difference is they're a fellow Augustinian school. Providence, St. Rita. Melvin Prep is one of the Augustinian high schools. I've been talking to the coach, for months now. We exchanged film, and that's really about it. We're going on their 2 games they gave us and hopefully that's all they have on us. And you know, and we'll find out when they get here, you know, next week or 2 weeks from now. But you approach it as any game. You know, I mean, it's our first one, which is big because the first game is a big game. You got to get off to a good start, and that's what Coach Cog said too. You know, we want to get out of the gate early because we know what's coming down the road. You know, especially with us. You know, we don't want to think about week 9 and week 8 with Loyola. We got 3, 4, 5. You know, coming up. You know, right out of the gate with us too. So
you're playing at Soldier Field. The kids are not used to playing. I mean, that's St. Rita holds maybe 10,000 when you really pack it. I think, you know, when it really gets. You've got it. You could hold 65,000. I don't know. You're gonna.
I don't know if 65 are gonna.
65 may not be there. I know you got that many alumni. But how do you get the kids so that they're not intimidated? It's everyone's probably seen Hoosiers. Where Eugene Hackman, they walk in, they're playing a state game, and they play. You know, they come from this little gym, and he measures and says, "Hey, it's 10. You know, it's 10 feet, just like your rim back home." So how do you do it? Trying to get their butterflies away as soon as possible with the Soldier Field.
Well, we've been fortunate enough. We've played there a number of times in the last few years. Last year we played at Toyota Park. You know, not quite the venue by any means, but still a nice stadium. So a lot of these guys, some of these guys played back 2 years ago. We were at Soldier Field. So some of them have been there before. We just, you know, we get there a little bit early. You know, I'm known for getting everybody here early anyways. We'll get there a little early, check out the, you know, the locker room. It's beautiful locker rooms. You'll look out on the field and, you know, realize once the ball is kicked, you know, it's a football game, and I think you lose track of it. You know, and even as coaches, I'm sure, you know, I look around. I'm like, this is pretty cool. You play down here at Soldier Field, but once that ball is in the air, it's just a football field. It's 120 yards long, and you're just playing football.
Yeah, no, I did the same thing because we played some tournaments, you know, with the youth in basketball, United Center. Everybody gets excited to get there.
Once it goes,
you get down there, once you're just playing. You're on the same court. You're on, you know, it's just said it's 10 feet. So it's well, good luck in that first national game. It's well, good luck with the whole season. So, Brother Rice, your 5th year. This is your 4th year. Going in your 4th year, Coach Badke. So, what do you see now that you're so that you're going in your 4th year? These are kids you brought in that you came in with them as freshmen. This is your senior leadership. So, how's your team developing, and what do you see this year?
We're very excited about this season. We've got a lot of talent that had a lot of experience last year coming back this year. We played a very difficult schedule last year, not only the Catholic League Blue, but I was, you know, and I probably rethink this moving forward. I know Todd told me that, but we're playing Brother Rice in Michigan again. We played them up there last year. It was a kickoff classic. It was a national, you know, game there, and they were ranked, you know, 15th in the country, and they lost. They had about 5 Division I players, and it was a heck of a football game. We lost 40-34, and it was a great game. And they're coming down to play us this year at our place, and we have Chicago refs, which I'm looking forward to. But again, we lost some key guys. You know, we lost you know, co-offensive player of the year, Marcus Jones, who was a heck of a football player at Northern Illinois. So you know, we got to replace. We had a real good quarterback. We had some really good senior leadership that we're going to have to replace. But we're very excited about this upcoming season. And, you know, we've got a real good quarterback that's going to be a senior. And I'm really proud of, you know, what they've accomplished this offseason and, you know, carry on through the summer and now obviously through August camp.
Well, do you see when you play a team like, you know, Brother Rice versus Brother Rice, how much significance is it that you're playing your namesake school?
You know, it was a great experience. You know, it's our brother school, their Christian brother school, and they've won multiple state championships there, and they've had a lot of success. And I think it really set the tone for us in our season last year, playing them. You know, and then we came back and we played Marist and beat them, and then we played Loyola, you know, who was ranked number 1 in the state at the time, and we beat them. And I told her, I really believe this. If we don't play that Brother Rice Michigan game, I don't know if we beat Loyola in week 3. So definitely our guys that prepared us, you know, and you know, our guys are really looking forward to them coming to Chicago and send them home with a loss.
So it's a rematch.
It is.
A rematch. But like you said, you come off of that. You've got another tough one outside your non-league game. You're playing Crete Moni this year. they've got some state titles under their
Yes,
belts.
yeah, they're very, very good football team.
Not how far ahead, and I brought it up before. You play one game at a time, but do you look at any film? Do you guys look at film of the second game of your opponent at all before that, or do you just right now you're focused on Pennsylvania,
Melbourne,
and you're focused on
Joliet Catholic.
and you're focused on Brother Rice, the other Brother Rice. So you've got that. Let's just talk a little bit about the greatest, the history that you guys have seen, but as coaches. And so, who is? Give me one. If you want to give me two or three, not on your team, but played against that. The running back that was at when you bring up Joliet Catholic, it was there a few years ago.
Ty Isaac. So just let's talk about some of the players that have just, and it's not all about the standout players, because I would even talk about what's so important, like the guys that will play at Soldier Field. The guys that are really not the stars, it's almost important for the guys that won't go to college, that's their college.
Right.
And so that's why it's so important, and I'm sure it's part of how your philosophy of coaching, that you want to make it something for everybody. That's where they're going to be at. They played at Soldier Field. They can say that. It's kind of like my son when we were playing with basketball, and he has a program, and he got to play on the All-Star team with Jabari Parker. I said, save that program. You never know. It's see what happens down the road. But talk about some of the players that just stood out, and you really, either they're in the pros now, or you really think they're going to be there. That even if they didn't run all over you, or you think you shut them down. I don't know if you shut down Ty Isaac, but
actually,
how do things go?
We did okay against Ty, although he got hurt probably in the start of the second quarter.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, he did have some.
Unfortunately for him, but we didn't have to see him for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's just so many. Every year, every team has somebody. From Mount Carmel, was it Lynch?
Jordan
Lynch.
Yeah, Jordan Lynch. Yeah, who went on to Northern Illinois.
Yeah, a guy that could, from that quarterback spot, he could throw the ball well, but the way he ran the ball, it was just such a weapon, and decisions that he made every play. But we see that every week.
Yeah,
and that's just all part of the challenge.
Well, when you are playing, you're so much of what you look at is you're just trying to make sure you shut them down, or you're trying to get a win. But does it ever stick in your mind, like you saw Lynch, and you're saying that guy's gonna there's just something that separates them? Is there something that separates them? You see the fact that they could be a pro.
Yeah, you could tell just by their talent level, and then their passion for the game, their drive for the game.
Yeah.
Whether you see it on on our team or an opponent's team, but usually there's 1 or 2 guys in every team that's kind of the key, that you got to control them. You may not stop them. Like Ty Isaac, he did break a long one before he got hurt, but if we can just control their best player, don't let them hit us for too many big plays.
Yeah. Coach, who did you?
There's great players week in, week out.
Yeah.
But I go back to 2008. We played East St. Louis, and I don't know if I think you guys might have played them that year or not. But the kid's name was Terry Hawthorne, and he went to Illinois. I know he played in Illinois. I think he's in the NFL right now. But he was a free safety wide receiver, and he never left the field. I know he had 18 tackles against us. He had like 3 touchdowns. He punted. He returned kicks. And he didn't look like much, he was about 170 pounds soaking wet. But he was one of the guys that really stood out in the last 20 years. There's been a great number of guys, especially in Catholic League, but that just sticks out as a state quarterfinal game down there, and was just a great football player.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of them, but that guy's really stood out.
So he must really. He was
good.
Stood out
good.
like that.
To do that against us, we were a pretty good football team that year. I think we finished 11-2. Or 10-2, and he had a great game against us.
East St. Louis just seems to always have that program.
They've got some great players.
Yeah, they just always, every year, they're coming up here and having some great games with somebody, or you guys going down there. Everybody from Montini goes down there, and you guys go down there. Yeah. So, brother, it's at your time at Brother Rice, as coaching or even as a player, who did you have some some players that would have stood out?
It's kind of funny. I'd say the story a lot. When I was playing at Rice, we were playing Carmel, and it was a rough game for us. And there was Mike McGrew was a quarterback at the time, and he was a great football player. Went to Northwestern, and they took him out and they put in this other guy. And we're like, wow, he's better than McGrew. It was Donovan McNabb, you know.
Oh, okay.
So, but he was pretty good. But since I've been in the league for 3 years, I mean, there's been over close to 12 Division I players that we've coached against. And are they going to all go? Some of them maybe get a chance to play pro. I'm sure. And there's a kid. I think we all remember it. Stephen Richardson, that kid, defensive lineman from Mount Carmel. You might see him on Sundays. I mean, he's at Minnesota. And
Okay.
He was one of the tougher players that I've ever seen play at that level. And he's not very tall, but he's wide and he's physical, and his motor didn't stop. And I think he was freshman of the year in the Big Ten.
He was.
So, there's been, just like these guys have said, I mean, week in and week out, you're playing against the best.
You're just
and that's
playing,
what you want.
yeah, and
that's what you want.
That's what's so amazing. Like it's your league in the high school. It almost compares to the SEC in college. I mean, every week you could be playing a top 10 team, and that's really what it comes down to. And then you have to prepare for it. So you're doing. You've got such a imposing schedule, and you're working on it. We're talking about you're not going to look at any film before that, but give us an idea of it's always fascinating how you prepare, because it's every opponent is a new week. It's not like baseball or basketball that you could play we used to have basketball tournaments, play 6 games in a weekend. Football, focus of one. So you get done with, you play a game on Friday night, and so coach, you got whether you won or lost, you get done on that game on Friday night. What happens? You're playing St. Rita the next week, so you're playing against Hall of Fame coach Todd Kuska. So when do you start, and what is the preparation for the week?
Well, probably sometime Friday we've maybe made a connection. Well, now it's film exchanges through Huddle, so it's a click of a button. But once the game ends, I don't know, some coaches may take a peek at the next week's opponent, but usually it'll start Saturday morning.
Yeah.
We'll watch the game film of the night before, Friday night, go over all our mistakes, but then that's put away, and usually we send the kids home, but then coaches are going to spend 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours just breaking down plays, studying tape, getting practice plans ready for the week. Same thing on Sunday. Coaches will come in and organize and put it all together, so when the kids come on Monday, we have a plan and ready to go.
So it's a 7-day-a-week job. Especially once that's from now on.
Right.
It's basically a 7-day-a-week job. Mm-hmm. You're watching, and so you're watching. Saturday you get started. Sunday you're watching film, breaking it down so that you can break down each of your groups. And when they come back on Monday, the players aren't there on Sundays. You give them Sundays off.
Yeah. Usually, maybe in playoffs, they may come in for an hour and kind of get a game plan or something like that. But nothing physical on Sunday.
And so then on Monday they come in. Is it films? Is it walkthroughs? When do you get ready for that next? What's the preparation day by day for that next Friday night game?
Well, on that Sunday we may watch a little film, maybe do a little walkthrough. Yeah. So on Monday then they've seen it and we're ready to hit the road running.
You're out on the field.
Yeah.
Okay, and then how much hitting once the season starts? When you're getting ready to play St. Rita that week, how much hitting are you doing?
Well, that's a good question now because state come down with these new rules. You're only allowed 90 minutes of hitting. But again, I don't think that's going to affect us because we don't go live as far as tackling guys to the ground. We know it's just going to bang them up and get them hurt. So we call it thud. We got to get there. You may put a shoulder on them, may wrap up, but we definitely don't want guys, going to the ground.
Yeah, you hate to see an injury in practice. That's
right.
It's one thing to get the injury in the game. How much of a role do injuries play in the game? I mean, with the team, and in terms of that's why you almost have to plan and have depth You could have the best running back in the league. He goes down with an ankle, and you have to have plan B.
Right. Oh yeah, you definitely need depth, and and there's a lot of luck involved. Some years you may be lucky and you only have a couple minor injuries, and other years, we've lost 2-3 quarterbacks or running back all the same year. I'm sure we all have at some point.
Yeah.
So in terms of motivating your team for St. Rita that next week, do you do anything special like in the locker room? Do you put a big cutout of Coach Kuska right up on there, or you look for a clip where he has slammed you and said, "Oh, that Providence team really doesn't have it this year." You look for any edge to get the kids over the edge.
I really don't think we need that.
No, because it's self-motivated.
It's St. Rita. They're going to be very good. They're going to be prepared. They're going to be well coached. They're going to have great athletes. We don't need anything extra.
That's it. You just got to put them in place, and then team dinner on Thursday night, and then and then on Friday that's it. Just comes down to it, and there's nothing like. Let me ask you one. I've always considered it probably the greatest event in America is in the fall on Friday nights, and that's how we'll close out here. Just tell me what does Friday Night Lights mean to you? To me, the Friday, just because I didn't appreciate it enough when I was in high school, but I always say, that movie Friday Night Lights, that was our high school. You could have robbed the bank when they were playing football. So that's how insane it gets to be, but it's great because it brings communities together. So what does Friday Night Lights mean to Coach Cogs?
Well, that's what it's all about. That's why, maybe why we're in this profession.
Yeah.
Is to mold the kids and prepare them and get them ready, for Friday night's game. Stands are going to be full. You're going to have all your buddies and your family up in the stands watching. And, each player is going to, whether they're a starter or not, everybody has a role. As we say, it's not so much your position, but it's the role that you play. So maybe your role was more important during the week as being a prep player or doing some things to help the number ones get a good look or get better. But again, it's all going to come together Friday night.
Yeah, and I think it's tough to get the point across to the kids of how great it is. You're never gonna. I think was it Peyton, Coach Peyton, and I don't know if you saw the video where he talked about it. When he talked about with the boys of fall, and he said, "Boys, you're going to have a couple of really major things happen in your life: the birth of your children, getting married, but." Right up there with it is Friday Night Lights. So what is Coach Kuska? What's that mean to you?
I agree. I think it's about tradition. It's about being a part of something really special. And I'm all about making sure our guys had the same memories that I had. Now, obviously, we didn't play Friday nights. We played Saturdays. But, Friday night football to me is just the ultimate.
Yeah.
I still get goosebumps when the band plays the fight song. When we take the field, through the band, running there with the fight song, those are memories that are going to be with you forever. I can still describe, and believe me, when we and all my buddies get together, we talk about how we could tell plays that happened in our senior years 25 years ago, and kids that have those same memories, like Cog said, whether you're a starter, you're a second teamer, whatever role you have, hey, when you take that field Friday night, you're part of a great tradition.
Yes.
And you look around and people are cheering, and you know what? They're cheering for you as a whole, not you as an individual. And I think that's what Friday Night Football, it's the last pure kids are playing the game for the love of it.
It is. You bring up a good point. It's one of the last pure events that it's not tarnished at all. It's a $3 event or whatever. It's not. You go to the game. You don't have to spend $500 to go to a game.
And it's over quickly.
Yeah.
I tell the seniors, it's going to be pretty soon. We'll be talking about what's going on here. And week 1 through week 9 goes like that.
Nothing went faster than my son's senior year at Sandburg. It just went like that. Coach Badke, Brother Rice, Friday Night Lights out there in the field. You guys have it's kind of like the Cement Bowl out there. You guys got a heck of a stadium. We played in it before, so it's a nice place.
Thank you. There's no doubt. There's nothing better than Friday Night Lights. I was at the college level for a long time, and coming back to Brother Rice, just like that when we didn't have the lights, and now to come back and. It goes so fast, these kids, and you try to talk to them, and I'm sure we do that all the time about, cherish these moments, because before you know it, you're going to be a freshman, and you walk out, you're going to be a senior.
Yep.
And the season just flies by, and it's an exciting time. I love this time of year, and as we're preparing and working our tails off to do the best that we can for our kids, and there's nothing better.
No, it's Friday Night Lights, and I think that sums it all up. What we do, or what you guys do especially, but youth football coaches, and it's just being out there. And we encourage all of for a while Saintburg didn't do it. They're finally understanding it, that the kids who are playing Pioneers, Knights, whatever it is, if you come to the game with your jersey, they get in free. I mean, it's not just the fact that they get in free, but the fact that they're there and they're proud to be there, and they're wearing the jersey, and they're supporting those kids, the kids that they hope to play on that field someday, and that's what it really comes down to. So it's Friday Night Lights. We're going to look for it's October 23rd, St. Rita, Brother Rice playing. Might be a championship game at that point. It might dictate who wins the title.
So.
Of course, you hope not that, because you hope you've already wrapped it up at that point. And on that day, you're going to be where we at? Providence is at.
Yeah, where am I at?
10. Oh, you're at Lake Forest Academy. That's I'm not going to say it's a slam dunk, because you would never want to say that. But Lake Forest got they've done okay.
They have some athletes up there. But yeah, the meat of our schedule will be done by that point. So
yeah. I think you're big. The one you almost could circle on is that Loyola Academy coming to town, and on 10. You don't have to go. How is it? The last thing I'll ask: what's the difference between playing on Saturday at Loyola, where they don't have lights, and playing under the lights? Any difference at all?
I think they don't have lights for a reason.
You think there's that? Yeah, that
changes up all of our routines.
We'll not let them have lights.
Yes.
They use it to their advantage.
Yeah.
It's a different routine. It is. But it does take away. I still think the Friday Night Lights is the greatest thing in the history of the world is Friday Night Lights. So folks, get out there every Friday night this year. Coach Cogs, Coach Todd Kuska, Coach Brian Badke, Brother Rice, St. Rita, Providence. You won't get. I mean, this is coaching royalty. These guys are Hall of Fame coaches. They don't just coach teams. They run programs, and they mold men. They mold young men into being fine young men. I know there's rare are you going to have anybody come out of their program and not be successful down the road later in life. So mothers, as you're watching this, send your children to programs like this to play football, because you will be rewarded. I can tell you that. So, guys, we want to thank you very much, Coach Cogs.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Coach Kuska.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Coach Badke. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Folks, we've been here today. Probably the most special show we've done for Orland Park TV. I'm Dan McMillan. I'm almost speechless right now. That these guys are it's coaching royalty. So I want to thank everyone for watching today. Thank the mayor of Orland Park, Dan McLaughlin, for Orland Park TV, and the trustees. Thank you very much. I'm Dan McMillan. I can't say go. I can't show any preferential treatment, but we wish all of you guys to win. I don't know what's good. None of you can go completely undefeated because you play each other. So good luck to everyone. Thank you. I'm Dan McMillan.